Hello friends, this is Worm, if you look deep inside yourself. And today, I wanted to talk about an issue with PvE weapon perks, and specifically the subclass synergizing perks, and why I think that they might, big might, be problematic. Before we get into that, there's a lot of you who are not subbed to the channel, so go down there, hit that sub button, turn on the bell notification icon, whatever, so that you can get notifications when I do a video, and let's talk about subclass synergizing perks. Now, before I start, this is by no mean some major scientific study that I did, right? But yesterday I was doing a variety of PvE activities on my Warlock, Altars of Sorrow, some Nightfalls, some Strikes, stuff like that. And I would inspect players' weapons, and I inspected their weapons to see what perks they were using. And a vast majority of players were using perks that synergize with their subclass. For example, I saw Headstone anytime I saw a Stasis subclass, which Stasis, I really only saw Stasis Titans. There's only a couple of them, but especially on Solar, Incandescent was very popular. On Void, either Repulsor Brace or Destabilizing Round, sorry, I couldn't remember the name, was popular. And of course, with Arc, every single person that I saw using an Arc subclass was using a weapon with Volt Shot. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because I wanted to ponder the question of whether or not subclass synergizing perks are taking the place of our other perks that, we would mostly use, right? Like, oh, sorry, I just realized something. Y'all don't want to watch the same video from yesterday, right? But these perks, are they taking the place of things like Kill Clip, things like Rampage? And I know that there's a lot of you watching here who say, oh, absolutely not. Like, Rampage is still a fantastic perk. Yes, it is. Kill Clip is still a fantastic perk. Multi-Kill Clip is still a fantastic perk. Like, there are a lot of perks that are really good. But at the same time, I started looking at my own loadouts, right? I started looking at my own loadouts, and I mean, again, it's the same thing. Like, every single weapon that I'm using, like, it's me building into the subclass synergy, right? And I think that subclass synergizing perks are potentially becoming problematic because they are replacing old perks. Like, let's be honest, Abyss Defiant comes out. You see it right here. It has Incandescent. It's a crafted one. Abyss Defiant. You get one, what perks are you looking for? Like, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I'm pretty excited about Outlaw and Kill Clip, like, that's good and all. But let's be honest, what is the perk that everybody's looking for, right? It's Heal Clip and Incandescent, right? That's the role that everybody's been talking about on Abyss Defiant. But it's Incandescent, right? Like, Abyss Defiant, and I said this a couple weeks ago when we, talked about these weapons before they even launched, Abyss Defiant is absolutely stacked in terms of its perks. Like, I think almost every single perk in the fourth column is a damage perk. With the exception of Eye of the Storm, and I think Pugilist, right? No, Pugilist in the first column. And then the first column, you've got some absolute bangers of perks. You've got Reconstruction, Outlaw, Enlightened Action. You've got a bunch of perks in there that make it a very strong weapon, but people seem to gravitate towards Incandescent. And on really any other solar weapon, it's the same thing. Even myself, like, I'm not excluded from this. I love Incandescent. It is absolutely fantastic to, number one, like, explode an enemy. It always feels good. But also to light other enemies on fire is great. But there's also the aspect that it builds into your subclass. On Titan, if I'm using, Abyss Defiant, and I get a kill, and it kills another enemy nearby or something like that, it's giving me a sunspot right there. Like, that is incredibly powerful, right? And I don't think that this is an issue like, oh, like, these perks need to be nerfed necessarily. I think the better answer would be to add more perks that synergize with our subclasses, right? Like, more, for example, Heal Clip, right? Heal Clip synergizes with Solar 3.0 very, very well. It's not overpowered, it's not busted by any means, but it gives other, like, options, right? So we got Heal Clip, Incandescent. Obviously, this is a solar weapon, or this is a solar main dream, right? And it is a phenomenal weapon. Like, you're seeing in the background here, it's fantastic. But other weapons like Repulsor Brace, Destabilizing Rounds, like, those go well together. Like, that's great, but we need more perks that incentivize using, subclass synergies, right? And the perks like Rampage that don't synergize with a subclass, I feel like the only way to make them potentially better is to buff them in some sort of way, right? And this is, I am very hesitant about this, right? Because we don't want to buff Rampage up to like a 66% damage boost like it used to be, right? Because Rampage was insanely cracked. Kill Clip, I want to say, used to do, I know it used to do 33% more damage, then they nerfed it down to 25, but I think at one point Kill Clip did like 50% more damage. Like, I don't think that that's really a good answer, just increasing damage numbers, but I think maybe increasing the duration from, you know, the 4 seconds or 4.5 seconds up to maybe 7 seconds, you know, and stuff like that. And it's power creep is what it is, and we know that. You know, Sword Logic, it just came this season with the new Krotos End weapon. Sword Logic is a fantastic perk. Like, it is a fantastic perk. Like, I would not be mad if I got Sword Logic on, you know, whatever weapon, right? But Sword Logic makes things like Rampage, for example, or Kill Clip kind of irrelevant. Sword Logic against a minor enemy gives you like a 15% damage boost that you can use to chain to majors and to ultras and, you know, mini bosses and so on and so forth for that bigger damage chain, right? Not only that, but let's say you use, you know, a weapon with Sword Logic to get a kill on a champion and you get ×3 stacks immediately. As long as you get another kill, you keep that timer going, right? And it's a 10-second timer. Very generous timer, as opposed to Rampage, you know, which is only 4 or 4.5 seconds, you know, and it only stacks up to 33% more damage. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you know, it's the ease of use trade-off. Like, it's easier to kill 3 miners and get Rampage ×3 than it is to kill a champion or something like that and get Rampage, or I'm sorry, Sword Logic ×3, right? But we are constantly outdoing, or Bungie is constantly outdoing perks with new perks, right? Sword Logic, in my opinion, is one of the best damage dealing perks in the game. Like, it beats out Kill Clip, it beats out Rampage, and this is strictly from a PvE standpoint. Obviously, PvP is a different story, but in PvP, I don't see a lot of people using, you know, incandescent, destabilizing rounds, stuff like that, right? No, we're specifically in the PvE realm over here talking about this, you know, and I don't like, I look at weapons and I get them, I was like, oh wow, this has, you know, this has Outlaw and Kill Clip. That sounds like it'd be great. But then I sit down and I think about it, I'm like, am I really going to use it? Or am I going to use something with incandescent? Or am I going to use something with, you know, hatchling or something like that? Like that's literally my thought process. And so I just dismantle it, right? And again, it's because the subclass synergies are so very strong, and, you know, it takes a very unique perk, something like Sword Logic, to make me want to use just a straight damage dealing perk, or any other perk for that matter, as opposed to a subclass synergizing perk, right? But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to see these perks get nerfed, or these weapon perks get nerfed. Like, we already saw Volt Shot get nerfed in terms of its damage. It doesn't deal nearly as much damage nearly as much damage as it used to. Sorry, try saying that 5 times fast. You know, and we've seen a couple of changes with some stuff, you know, and I think that where the perks are right now is perfect. You know, destabilizing rounds is in a perfect spot, right? You get a kill, applying volatile to to enemies around that target does not deal any significant amount of damage, right? But it can synergize with something like maybe Void Hunter, you know, and Stylish Executioner, or, you know, any Void 3.0 subclass that has to deal with destabilize volatile targets. Oh my god, sorry, my mind's a mess right now. But, you know, volatile targets. So I think that nerfing these perks, I don't think that's the answer, right? I think adding more of the subclass synergizing perks would be beneficial, and maybe you could even, you know, and this would be a lot of work for Bungie, I know it would, but maybe Bungie could even sneak in some type of elemental you know, pairings with perks like maybe Kill Clip and Rampage, right? You know, like Kill Clip, I don't know, you know, when you reload after getting killed, you get a damage buff and it applies Radiance, you know, or not Radiance, sorry, Radiance, why not? You know, it applies Radiance and you get a damage buff, or, you know, on a Void weapon, you get Invis and a damage buff, like something like that, and not very long. It doesn't have to be anything crazy long. You know, like you get Invis for 2 seconds, right? 2 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but, you know, let's say you get a kill, you're getting swarmed, turn Invis, go about your business, right? You can pair it with Graviton Forfeit to make it last longer. Like, there's a bunch of things that you can do with these short little durations, or you know, maybe you get part of an overshield. And I think that, again, that's difficult to add in because there's so many different, like, buffs and debuffs in the game, and something like stasis, for example, which is really, really out of date at this point, doesn't have any like buffs associated with. Like, you've got slow, you've got freeze, and I think that's it, right? And then like shatter, right? You don't have any like player buffs that are associated with stasis. You know, like for example, Strand has Woven Mail, there's Radiance, there's Restoration, there's Invis, Overshield, Devour, Amplified. We have all these other, you know, subclass buffs, but there's not really one that goes with stasis. And so I don't know, like I just, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Like I feel like the subclass synergizing perks are becoming kind of problematic because so many people are just immediately going to those perks because they are so very good. But I don't think that they need a nerf. I think the other stuff just needs a buff to bring it more in line and make it better and potentially have some subclass synergy. And you know, Destiny, it is a build crafting game, so when you can build into whatever you're going for, it does make it just all that much better, right? It really does. But I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts on it, though. You know, what do you think about subclass synergizing perks? Do you think that they are kind of storming the meta? Do you think that they're taking over? Like, I know that there's probably a lot of y'all that use stuff like, oh, I like to use Kill Clip and Rampage. Those aren't bad perks, but at the same time, what I saw, you know, in my couple hours playing yesterday, lots of people are gravitating towards those subclass synergizing perks. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Of course, if you enjoyed today's content, or if you didn't, or if you want to debate about it, drop a like, leave a comment, all that stuff. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content, and do me a favor. Y'all have a good day, and watch the videos you see at the end screen here, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like it. Bye for now, guys.